There is a lot of interesting things happening right now around crypto and the global monetary system. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. And with that in mind, let's talk about this. So I included this post in so many XRP videos, and it's because it connects the dots with the Ripple and the SEC case that everyone continues to put a spotlight on and talk about. And there's just way too much noise around this SEC case, and I personally see it as a completely planned case. I've made videos on this addressing it. You can see all of the play on words here from Ripple, even with the FSB, the IMF, and the BIS. Again, even within the full breakdown of what they're trying to do around global crypto regulatory frameworks, it's all regarding a level playing field globally, which Ripple is also focused on. That's their whole goal, is to level the playing field, essentially. And we also have Brad Garlinghouse calling for a single national regulatory framework for a harmonized approach. And that's basically what we're now witnessing from the FSB, with the IMF, the World Bank, and even the G20. But what's interesting about this is what we have been finding regarding Ripple and connections back to these regulatory organizations. Let's be honest, it's very easy to take positions in crypto, but it's extremely hard to actually have a game plan in place when the time comes to take profits. And that's exactly why I released a completely free exit plan that you can apply to literally every single position that you take in crypto. And the best part about it is that it's completely free. All you have to do to get access is go to the link down in the description below and claim your access now. What are you waiting for? Capture those profits. If we just go back to a Ripple document, I believe that this is from like 2019, 2020, we have regulatory and policy engagement, ongoing engagement with 40 plus regulators. Like I've mentioned in past videos, Ripple has always been compliant. They've been working with the regulators. So it's crazy to me that they're like one of the first major companies in the space to be sued by the SEC, or at least go to, court with the SEC. And even within this, we have Bank of England Accelerator Program, Federal Reserve Faster Payments, Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, and then the International Monetary Fund. These are four major, organizations or banks or even programs that Ripple is a part of, leading back to, central banks and also major authorities like the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority. So to me personally, as we look at Ripple connections, it's kind of unbelievable that they are in the middle of a lawsuit with the SEC, right? Because of these connections. But beyond this, the CPMI group that they're a part of, what is their full focus? Well, it's an international standard setter that promotes, monitors, and makes recommendations about the safety and efficiency of payment, clearing, settlement, and related arrangements, thereby supporting financial stability and the wider economy. The CPMI also serves as a forum for central bank cooperation in related oversight, policy, and operational matters, including the provision of central bank services. So wait a second. Ripple, a US-based company that's in the middle of an ongoing lawsuit with the SEC, is also on the CPMI group, a standard-setting body that is behind central banks, essentially, that's cooperating with these major players in terms of oversight, policy, and operational matters. How does that make sense? Well, the truth of it, it really doesn't. But what's funny about this is look at all of the major banks that are a part of the CPMI. These are massive giants, and even the Federal Reserve is on here. Again, this is proof that as we look at everything that's ongoing around the SEC, this is just to keep everyone entertained while the back end, the foundation, if you will, gets forged. And in my opinion, Ripple is a key player. Over here, we have back in October of 2020, this is the G20. We have the G20 has made enhancing cross-border payments a priority during the Saudi Arabian presidency. faster, cheaper, more transparent, and more inclusive cross-border payment services, including remittances, while maintaining their safety and security, would have widespread benefits for citizens and economies worldwide, supporting economic growth, international trade, global development, and financial inclusion. These challenges, namely high cost, low speed, limited access, and insufficient transparency, affect end users and service providers, though not all in the same way. Individuals and small companies face particular challenges with retail cross-border payments, and financial inclusion remains a challenge for many, especially in emerging market and developing economies. The unbanked and individuals and firms from fragile states are amongst those who may not be able to access payment services at all. And here we have that this roadmap has been developed by the FSB. So the FSB was developing this roadmap regarding the full breakdown of the key challenges of cross-border payments and how to really kind of contribute to them, in coordination with the CPMI group and other relevant international organizations and standard-setting bodies. All right, so this confirms that the FSB is working with the CPMI, which Ripple is on the CPMI with the BIS, but also the FSB, going back over here, they're working on a global crypto regulatory framework, and Gary Gensler is also on the board of the FSB. So how is Ripple in the middle of a lawsuit with the SEC? Why is Ripple still scrutinized? Well, in my opinion, this is all a big show. And this over here with the US Department of the Treasury, this meeting from April of this year is very telling on where we're headed and how big of a role Ripple and even Stellar and a few other players are really kind of, filling. Here we have Ripple, Stellar, the US Department of Treasury. This is from Subjective Views. They're at a roundtable discussion alongside Nellie Liang, Undersecretary for Domestic Finance, the US Department of the Treasury, discussion on the technical and regulatory requirements for upgrading the legacy capabilities of central bank money, exploring the potential implications for consumers, investors, and businesses. They also delved into the long-term vision for the integration of CBDCs, tokenization, and stablecoins into the broader US financial ecosystem, including potential benefits for economic growth and resilience. Does this sound like a meeting that a company that's in the middle of a lawsuit with the SEC regarding securities violations, does it sound like a meeting that that company would be a part of? Absolutely not. And then over here, we have Ripple is spearheading the advancement of digital asset regulations backed by a robust team of legal and policy experts who are driving significant progress in the industry. They are literally paving the way for crypto adoption. Case in point, this is from Lauren Beliv, head of US public policy and government at Ripple, who was at this meeting. There you guys have her sitting next to Nellie Liang. My meetings with regulators and policymakers are very different than my counterparts in different global jurisdictions, where we are still talking about some of the bigger political issues. And you go in and have conversations, if it's in the UK or in Brazil or even in Dubai, that are much more business functional and operational. Wait a second. Why is Ripple still in the middle of a lawsuit? If they're having these discussions, if they're paving the way for these things to happen around crypto and they're advancing digital asset regulations, well, doesn't that mean that Ripple technically is setting the pace for regulations? I mean, obviously Ripple's not a regulator, but it feels as though they are a big piece of the picture. At the same time, that retail is completely, blinded by this SEC case. Oh, we have to focus on this because we want this to end so that XRP can get us rich. That is not the focus of this. The focus is, why is Ripple in the middle of a lawsuit if we know all of this information? What's really going on behind the scenes? Well, we've speculated, right? They're slowing things down so that the infrastructure can catch up. But listen closely to this video.
From the corporate perspective, all businesses, no matter if it's a crypto business or any other business, you need operational certainty, you need market certainty, you need to know not just what you're going to be doing this year, but how is it going to affect the bottom line for the next 2 years, 5 years. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this panel, there are other countries where there are clear regulatory or licensing regimes that these companies can come in and be able to operate. And I know, being the head of the US side, my meetings with regulators and policymakers are very different than my counterparts in different global jurisdictions, where we're still talking about some of the bigger political issues. And you go in and you have conversations, if it's in the UK or in Brazil or in Dubai, that are much more business functional and operational. And you are seeing, these are companies that are headquartered in the US. These are companies that have an eye toward compliance and user safety. And to note too, a lot of this, there is the company demand, but we also have to recognize that this is a consumer demand, and the US government should be attuned to what the citizens of this country want. There's 52 million Americans who are now crypto users. And so there's going to be a demand on their end to make sure that they're dealing with their financial health in a safe and transparent way. So for us, you're seeing these headquartered US companies, some of them are moving overseas. A lot of the development talent is moving overseas. Where you have that business certainty in different foreign jurisdictions, that's where people want to go, because they need to know how to operate in 18 months to 5 years. And so that's something where you're going to start seeing a real dichotomy between the US and other countries that are able to say, come here and innovate, and we'll be able to see this kind of product grow for our users. And that's going to be really interesting.
So all of this is happening, right? But remember, Ripple is in the middle of a lawsuit. Ripple is, they're a bad company. They were doing this, they were doing that. Like, that was the whole narrative going back to like 2020. Like, oh, Ripple is doing this, Ripple's doing that, XRP's a security. Like, it's kind of funny when we look back in time and we see what was said, like, around Ripple and even around XRP. And now we're starting to see Ripple become a fundamental piece of the discussions happening around integrating and implementing this type of technology and actually utilizing it at scale. Believe it or not, Ripple, in my opinion, at this point, is becoming one of those big players that are bringing the plumbing to the new financial system. Nellie Liang, that was here in a meeting with individuals from Ripple and Stellar, remember what she said just recently, talking about the potential benefits from new plumbing. They gave us the full breakdown of this. This is all with alternative technologies. This is, DLT, blockchain, AI. And we even see here, like, more rapid payments could help to reduce fees for insufficient funds or overdrafts. Like, this is the conversations that are happening right now with these prominent names from the US government. And remember what she said back in January of 2023. Shout out to 801_XRP for this. We have Nellie Liang. Depend on the success technology, whether it can be environmentally friendly, reduce transaction costs, be efficient. With the proponents put out all the benefits, they're still being tested, but if they come to pass, one could imagine significant gains. Check this out.
It is hard to predict how far-reaching the implications of a central bank digital currency are. It's hard to predict how far-reaching the implications of tokenizing all financial assets might be. It will depend a lot on the success of this technology, whether it can be environmentally friendly, whether it can really reduce transactions costs, can it really be efficient. All those, with the proponents put out all the benefits, they're still being tested. And but if they come to pass, one could imagine some significant gains. And so I think we've learned through history, maybe Alexander Hamilton, 100 years later, we learned that there's some benefits to a uniform currency. It's good for economic growth, stability, financial stability. So we're going to try to we lay down that marker. Whatever happens, we want a uniform currency. And we lay down a marker of it's important to prioritize national security while at the same time ensuring privacy of individuals. So there's important trade-offs. Where it's all going to land, Tim, I don't know. It'll be very interesting to follow this progress. And I think it was important to put, as you say, lay the table, but it does lay the table and sets out the next step. And I think we don't want to jump too far ahead on the next steps. we do need to let technology, the public's comfort with technology, evolve and see where that goes. I think there's a big public element of what they want for their future as well.
Now, what she is saying here, we're now seeing the BIS, the central banks pushing for the big leap because now they're ready, right? You got to think about it. From 2020 to now, not only has it been 4 years, but look at what's been happening in just the last year alone. We're now starting to see institutionalization of crypto products with ETFs. We also now have regulatory movements like MiCA starting to roll out. These are supporting the fact that like the infrastructure and the foundation behind this new system, essentially, those pieces are coming together. It's laying the groundwork for this new system to rise. And I don't think that we have much longer before we start to see, legitimate use cases rolling out at scale, because there is use cases here, just not at scale. When we start to see that, that's when the game really begins for utility projects. I do think that 2024 has been the year where institutions are now starting to embrace the technology. They're starting to realize how big this is. I think that stablecoins right now are pretty much overlooked. I think that stablecoins are going to start to see significant volumes and significant amount of adoption as well. And I think that Ripple, being at the forefront of that now with their new stablecoin, is also going to reap the rewards of that. So again, as we focus on what's going on here, that SEC case, I'm telling you guys, yeah, it might be good for a little bit of price movement if we do get past it. And I do think that we will, obviously, but I'm talking about if we do get past it in the middle of this run. But I don't think that's a big focus. I don't think that it really matters because it feels as though Ripple's in these meetings where the discussions are heavy, they're significant, and it doesn't seem like a company that would be in the middle of a lawsuit with the SEC. It doesn't seem like that company would be in these rooms having these discussions, taking a part in what's happening around regulatory engagement and policy and discussions like that, or even joining the CPMI group. I think that this proves the fact that the SEC is the SEC lawsuit itself is just nonsense and it's all noise. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, though. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you guys did enjoy the video, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on because more free content. You guys more than follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.